to 30milesofcorruption.com. You can see I have my champagne here because I am going to set today's video up for you. First of all, it has been a happy week in the city of Riverside. Dave Wright, Riverside Public Utilities Director, is going to prison, has gone to prison for 6 years because he was a greedy bastard. Okay, that being said, we have also won the Measure C case. Thank you, Miss Sharon Matea. I just want to send you a toast. This is my champagne today. And I got to tell you, when news comes my way that pisses me off, I usually need a drink, and I want to toast Miss Sharon Matea for doing a fabulous job. And your quote was amazing in the Press Enterprise. I loved it. I also want to thank Jason Hunter for doing the amazing work on the Measure C lawsuit. And his lawyer, whoever that may have been, I don't know who that was. But I gotta tell you, the Press Enterprise article for the public, the citizens, the ratepayers, really won the Measure C lawsuit with the help of somebody like Jason Hunter, who we are very, very lucky to have in our city. And Miss Sharon Matea, who has volunteered her time endlessly for her neighborhood to protect her neighborhood. She is an amazing citizen in the city of Riverside. With the help of these two, we are all lucky. It is a great day that we won this lawsuit. And this, I want to just quote the article title in the Press Enterprise. It says, "Riverside improperly held electricity tax election." That is bullshit. This is what the article should have said. This is what the title should have been, and more people would have gotten excited about it. It should have read, "Riverside illegally held an electricity election to scam the taxpayers." That is what happened. That is what occurred, and that is why that lawsuit was won. And that being said, we are going to go and take an in-depth look at the fraud that was committed on the ratepayers with public utilities and Dave Wright going to prison. You know, and I'm going to set this up for you because I think it's really important. My husband and I were getting ready to to take care of our day. We have had things to do. We have a list of things that we were planning to get done. And I get a knock on our door. There's a knock on our door. And in the knock on our door, someone walks in and hands us these documents that will not be printed in the Press Enterprise. And these documents like this are only given to 30milesofcorruption.com. Okay. And let me tell you, there are more documents to come, so we are excited. Well, when I got a hold of these documents, I was livid, pissed, upset. I needed a drink. And let me tell you, if I had been outside, I would have had a ciggy. That's how crazy. I was literally so upset, I couldn't believe it. So what I have in my hand is a letter to Honorable Stanley Blumenfeld Jr. And what this is a supporting letter for Dave Wright in front of the judge to show leniency on Dave Wright for what he did. Okay, and you will never guess who this letter comes from. This letter comes from Mike Basage. Yes, Mike, I have your letter. And how in the hell did I get this letter? You don't even know how I get this letter. And you can see all my highlighting because I'm going to read it to you because you will not believe it. This is so absolutely ridiculous You know, when I posted my first post with Mike Basich, when he was texting me all these crazy texts, I finally took the video off 30milesofcorruption.com because we talked about it. He said he had nothing to do with this situation at all, and he's trying to get a job, and blah, 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 blah. So I took the video off. But when I read this, stop it, Mike Basich. I tried to call him. First thing I wanted to do was call him on the phone. Well, of course, he did not pick up the phone for me. He put me in his prayer book. He put my daughter in his prayer book. And then he writes this trash to protect his best buddy, Dave Wright, who the U.S. Assistant Attorney says Dave Wright betrayed the public trust for years over and over. That's who he was. He just didn't decide that this scheme was going to happen. No, he was preparing this particular scheme for many, 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 many years. This is not his first rodeo, I'm sure of it. And hopefully the district attorney in the city of Riverside will expose him and his corruptness here in Riverside as well. But let's go over just some of the statements, some of the bullshit comments Mike Basich made in this letter. He was literally slobbering over Dave Wright. Slobbering. Okay, so here we go. Oh, stop it. Okay, so here we go. He basically says Dave Wright is a visionary in the public utilities industry. The only thing Dave Wright was a visionary in was to create a scheme that would solidify his future capacity to create a financial stability for him and his family when he retired. That was his vision. How to be so corrupt and scheme the taxpayer out of millions and millions and millions of dollars. Yes, this is what Dave Wright did. And the city of Riverside really needs to be proud of their gadflies. Devon Petrosello, Kevin Wright, Sharon Matea, Jason Hunter, Rochelle Sterling, Karen, I probably mentioned Karen Wright, Mary Shelton, all these, Letitia Pepper, all these people that took their time and went to city council to expose what was going on. And through that exposure, really, we have won major lawsuits in water and electricity. Hello, Dave Wright. Hello, Mike Basich. Either these two were so freaking incompetent or they were scheming the taxpayer. And that is what I believe. And I believe that because these lawsuits would not have been won if they were doing what they were supposed to do. There would have been no lawsuit if they would have done the right thing, and they all chose not to. So here we go. So he talks about that Dave Wright was good for the city and the community overall. Sure. As far as Melissa Mills says, is that he betrayed public trust year after year after year. It says right here that several prominent citizens, including the mayor, elected officials, and all levels of city management and leadership at the Greater Riverside Chamber of Commerce, were particularly inclined to cite Dave's accomplishments as those of their own or the greater region. Dave Wright literally paid the Greater Riverside Chamber of Commerce and Cindy Roth, the Chamber Queen, to hold all these events. That's how she filled her pockets, through the funds that were provided. Dave Wright wouldn't buy one table, he would buy 10 tables, or he would buy 20 tables at all these events. And and the taxpayer of Riverside would basically pay for all these events. So one year I went to city council and I said, well, those tables should be free to all of us. So they opened the doors and they let all of us peons not sit in a chair, but stand in the back. But I forced my way in to eat their little hors d'oeuvres or whatever they were. Because that, to me, that whole nonsense there was just more city bullshit. He paid his way. And then it talks about all the awards that we got, like it was him that we got the greenest city, or we were the most intelligent city, or blah, blah, blah. They were all bought and paid for through public utility money, for sure. For sure. That's how we got him. It wasn't anything. He would just pay his way so people would stroke him. Oh, Dave Wright, you're so great. Oh, Dave Wright. Dave Wright, can I get a case of water? Sure. Dave Wright, can I get $500? Sure. Dave Wright, can I get $20,000 for Festival of Lights? Sure. Anything you want. Yes, yes. And they would just continue to stroke him. What the hell? Like, this was really a tough job. And it was Mike Basage who was in charge of all that, doling out all this money. Yeah. Dave had mentored numerous employees and individuals individuals in their efforts to get ahead, both professionally and personally. Well, the city of Riverside developed the first ever succession planning program to meet the challenges of the ongoing retirement and to identify future leaders to groom and train them for leadership positions. Let me tell you, Dave Wright not only groomed his employees, but he groomed his board members just like a predator. And all these people did everything he said. Yes, Dave, you're violating Prop 218. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. They did everything he would say. That's how he groomed these people. It says again that he was the greater good and everything he did make the city work like clockwork, blah, blah, blah. Dave was instrumental in bringing many businesses to Riverside rather than leaving the state entirely with the creation of economic development, which attached and retained businesses to the region, bringing in many thousands of dollars and multiple millions of dollars in revenue for the city of Riverside. Yeah, because he would promise them better electric rates or water rates. Again, that takes away from the public. Okay? It takes away from the public money. And the way Dave Wright spent public money in public utilities was against public utility law. Dave Wright never followed the law. He always did what he wanted to do, and that is why we have won all these public utility lawsuits. Okay, so let's go on. The generosity and philanthropy, his efforts in the program from the Chamber of Commerce called Leadership Riverside extended far beyond the time of this program. Oh, please. This is when people would get together. It was such I don't know if it was a stupid program. People really got into it, but they would take you around and pretend like you were gonna be a leader in the city of Riverside. It was so ridiculous. I don't even know. And again, all these programs being paid for by the chamber through public utilities is against public utility law. Now, here's the best part. Dave has proven for many years that he cared about the people and community. Dave Wright only cared, let's go over here, back to Assistant U.S. Attorney Melissa Mills. Dave Wright only cared about screwing the taxpayer. He betrayed the public trust for year after year after year. So I know that he, being son of an immigrant, was raised that way, meaning that he was raised to care about the people and community. Dave Wright schemed $30 million off the taxpayer. This was not done. If Dave Wright grew up by immigrant parents, I don't think the immigrant parents taught him how to be extremely greedy, because that is what the judge said. The judge in this case said Dave Wright's conduct was egregious because Wright, well, a public servant, he was my servant to protect my rights, make sure everything is in working order. No, he was doling out all the money everywhere so people would stroke him. This is the Admiration Society. Excuse me, he executed an elaborate and sophisticated criminal scheme that was motivated by pure greed. Dave Wright was all about pure greed, and I will explain that to you in a minute. Let me have a drink because I need one. The more and more I think about this, not only does it piss me off, I am so honored to know all the gadflies in the city of Riverside, because they worked really hard to set everything up to this moment in time, to this snapshot in time, that we are changing the tide here. For sure. But now, the best is yet to come from the pen of Mike Basage. Without knowing the particulars in this situation. Now, who really believes that? The lawsuit is everywhere. The LA Times, Riverside, Press Enterprise, all the information is out there. And he starts this statement without knowing the particulars in this situation. Please, Mike Basage. I can't even imagine what the judge thought when he read that line. I can say that any punishment that removes someone of Dave's caliber and character from the community to be punitive and a waste of great potential to the common good, I would strongly implore you or anyone to grant some leniency, please. Dave Wright was a schemer to screw the taxpayer for many, many years. And this is what you think? You think that he needs to be back on the streets for the common good of the community? Let's read. Let's read. Again, going back to the judge, this was pure greed. And here, let's even go to Dave Wright. I really messed up the rest of my life at the end of the career, at the end of my career. Wright said that he didn't enjoy his high-level job at DWP and that he spent years putting up emotional walls at work. Internally, I am an emotional mess, he told the judge. Attorneys for Wright painted the one-time utility executive as struggling with insecurities about his job, health issues, and grief over his father's death at the time of the crime. He was committing a crime, Mike Basage. Okay, a $30 million scheme against Ladwp ratepayers. What don't you get? And it goes on more that not only Mike Basage asked for leniency, and he also asked for a small measure of mercy in this case to keep him in the community where I have no doubt he would be a far greater service of value to our increasingly challenged environment. Don't you think it's a little late for mercy? You don't think the Assistant U.S. Attorney, Melissa Mills, knows more about this crime than she's letting on? You don't think this is gonna spill over to the city of Riverside? We have a lot more to say. In fact, where we got these was really interesting. And here's one from Tom Evans. Are you kidding me? Again, Tom Evans setting up the judge to try to give Dave Wright leniency. We will go over it another time, but Tom Evans is a real piece of work. He actually worked for RPU, I believe, at one time, way before our time there. And then he worked for the Western Municipal. But I want to go back to this Mike Basage comment. Now, this is what he said. He basically says in this comment that the city of Riverside is no longer has a high economic standard. It's basically going in the trash. Basically, that's what he said. It no longer has lackluster departments. They're all substandard. That's what he said. He says it's all because of Dave Wright. The problems in the city of Riverside in public utilities today are a direct result from the scheming and the nastiness from Dave Wright. Not only did Dave Wright may have improved lives of some people there, but he destroyed many. He destroyed many. And Dave Wright's mantra in this case and in not only in taking care of his employees, in taking care of Ladwp and RPU and anywhere Dave Wright went. This is what he groomed all these people for, was to say yes and do what he wanted to do. Because this is who Dave Wright was all about, Mike Basage. This is what he said, and this is what he would do. And we know this for a fact because this is what he did to many employees at RPU. We will get this all done, and fuck anybody that tries to get in our way. That's right. That's what he would say. He would take you down if you got in his way, and it wouldn't matter. But anyway, we've got a lot more to say about this issue because this kind of stuff is coming in, and we will bring it to you. This is Vivian, 30milesofcorruption.com. And actually, I have a situation going on with the city of Riverside, and I'm going to let Mr. Alzalinka know. We need an answer pretty soon. Anyway, talk to you soon. My name is Vivian. Not the number 1 gadfly, maybe the number 6 gadfly in the city of Riverside. Jason Hunter's got to be the number 1 for sure. Anyway, bye for now. I'll talk to you soon.